Hey guys, it's Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, back again with Good Omens. Last time on Good Omens, we had hard times. The first half of the episode, before the opening credits showed up, we basically took a trip with Aziraphale and Crowley, and how they... Not really how they became friends, because we saw that at the beginning, but just their friendship over the course of thousands of years, and interactions at the Ark and at the Cross and stuff like that. And then when we came back, we were still looking for Adam, and Adam, who is currently being pretty much influenced by anathema. And yeah, that was pretty much that, I guess.
But also seeing Private Pulsifer, who's finally getting on track to head up to Tadfield. Is that the name of the town?
Tadfield.
To become the next cog in this plot.
Right, and it's interesting because, both of them, the Witchfinder army is indebted to Crowley. They work for Crowley, but they apparently also work for Aziraphale.
Yeah.
So they're both of them, their agents are just this army, which they believe is more than just the two people and the number of items that Shadwell names. And other than that, we got the emergence of Famine, one of the Four Horsemen, and I can only assume we'll get one or maybe two more in this episode.
We still have pollution, or pestilence, and death.
And death, yeah. I guess that's pretty much that. This is where we say no spoilers in the comments, and yeah, you got anything else?
I'm good.
All right, then let's just go ahead and get right into this episode of Good Omens. Here we go.
But that's impossible.
Oh, they found Atlantis, like the magazine said. That guy looks familiar. Okay. Oh. Adam's using his powers, that's why.
Prepare to die, rebel swine!
I'd say that too if I was an alien in a flying saucer.
Or exterminate!
Obviously the aliens used to do that. Has been posted by passengers on a holiday cruise ship. Strange times indeed.
Yeah, that was like 2 minutes before the intro. Do that.
Almost forgot. According to our records, you were issued a flaming sword? You didn't lose that.
What? Like I just give it away? Or something?
Well, the sword has to come back at some point then.
Would you have any objection to me following this up using back channels?
There are no back channels, Michael.
Well, the trees have ears. And the ducks have ears.
Atlantis didn't exist yesterday. Exists today. Still out.
Interesting, they put it in the South Atlantic.
The moon. No atmosphere. No nightlife. Alpha Centauri. That's always nice this time of year. Okay, I know. You're testing them. You said you were going to be testing them. You shouldn't test them to destruction. Not to the end of the world.
It's interesting that he could escape Armageddon by going off-planet.
Makes you wonder why he has the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
Does he have the real one and the fake one in the Louvre?
Maybe.
He did that with Maud. Before they were married, they came here to spoon. And on one memorable occasion, fork.
Party by the name of Chalky, sir.
The third of the Four Horsemen took over when Pestilence retired.
Oh.
This is pollution.
why she gets a crown.
It's not a package. It's a message.
Deliver it then.
It's just this. Come and see.
Finally!
What does it mean, sir?
It's a call to action. Today we ride. Now don't think of it as dying. Think of it as leaving early to avoid the rush.
Interesting how different he looks from the other three.
Off you go, which find the private pulsar. May the armies of glory march beside ye.
Left-handed salute.
Are you sure? I'm pretty sure they used their right hand.
Beginning to happen in reality.
I don't know.
The Tibetans.
Oh, because he made it happen.
Yeah.
And Adam made the UFO.
It's very kind.
Have you any idea why we've been asked to bring you this message, sir?
I suppose what with man's harnessing of the atom and...
Neither have we, sir. Neither have we.
You what?
I just got pulled over by aliens.
Did you count them nipples?
Which the internet has begun to refer to as the Kraken, after the sea beast of legend. What? It appears to be targeting whaling ships, according to a spokesman for the Japanese government.
And a million sushi dinners cry out for vengeance.
It's interesting that it would have a giant face, too.
Back to Armageddon, then.
Look about.
Maybe it's being affected by the sea level.
When Robin's blue chariot inverted be, 3 wheels in the sky, a man with bruises be upon your bed, aching his head for willow fine.
A photo op? What's a photo op? Is it another joke?
No, you disgrace. Well, you know what a selfie is. I believe the demon Crowley invented them.
This is a minor point, but the American ambassador to Israel would probably not still be in the job 11 years later.
Well,
because you would have had a different administration who would have appointed somebody of their own.
Well,
Mister?
I'm Hasta. La Vista. I'm an archaeologist. Which one of you is the ambassador?
Thaddeus Dowling, at your service. My wife, Harriet.
An honor. Oh. You must be Warlock.
You smell like poo.
Funny boy. Always love a good joke, me. I've heard a lot about you. Where's the dog?
So, Professor LaVista, I understood from our briefing that Tel Megiddo was part of Tiglath-Pileser's administrative center. The Assyrian kings fascinate
Will
me.
you shut up? Where's the dog? Why doesn't the boy have a dog? Hmm? You hear voices. What are they saying? What are they telling you?
The voices.
Yes.
In my head, all say,
What?
you smell like poo.
What the heaven is going on, Crowley? What have you done?
You can see his point.
Dead meat, Crowley. Your bloody history. You stay where you are. We're coming to collect you.
Very Monty Pythonish.
Well,
You're being weird. It's our job to make it start again. Right, Doc?
So he's kind of abusing his power for him, basically.
I won't even think about you! I've been there. You're better off without him.
His license plate read Nayat, N-I-A-T, Ruck, which spelled backwards as curtain.
We only want a little word with you.
Oh, I hope that is holy water then. Yep. It was holy water.
You're bluffing.
Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. Ask yourself. Do you feel lucky?
Well, do ya, punk?
So long, sucker!
You're probably wondering where Crowley has gone. How many angels can dance on the head of a pin? To answer it, we need information. Firstly, angels don't dance. It's one of the distinguishing characteristics that marks an angel. So, none. At least, nearly none. Aziraphale had learned to dance. They're of the same original stock, after all. And at least demons dance. Not what you call good dancing, though. For demons or for angels, size and shape are simply options.
I come out too! I heard your voice, you and your best friend Aziraphale. You're dead meat!
Hastur, Duke of Hell, is now trapped on a tape inside Crowley's antique telephone answering machine.
Well, am I? Don't leave me here.
It's interesting. It's, I don't know, that almost comes out of left field.
The Southern Pansy in the bookshop might be a soft touch. Hey, he's got money.
And that's how
Even now,
Aziraphale
young
knew.
Possible could be suffering unimaginable tortures at the hands of the daughters of night. I can't imagine what he's going through.
Stop doing that!
I mean, he's not exactly affecting their free will. They're still protesting as much as they can.
You are speaking to the Metatron, Aziraphale. To speak to me is to speak to God.
Looks like Baron Jacobi.
I think it is. In Doctor Who, he was the master for 5 minutes.
In league with the forces of darkness.
Sergeant Shadwell?
You monster! Seducing women to do your evil will.
Oh, I think perhaps you've got the wrong shot.
You are possessed by a demon, and I will exorcise you with bell, book, and candle.
Oh.
Fuck!
I think the sheet music was The Sound of Music.
No. Okay.
So Armageddon will be just a tad late.
Yeah. I mean...
Please stand by.
The way they said it, it's like, well, the way we think, it's like, all right, well, we'll have all the nations, launch their nuclear weapons. That is what Adam was going to do anyway.
Yeah.
So, that is interesting. All right. We're getting there. We're getting closer to the apocalypse.
Obviously a lot more serious, but yet still very funny.
Yeah. Let's see. So we had a lot of the stuff that Adam was starting to do with his powers. We brought in Atlantis, that he pretty much created, the UFO with the peacekeeping aliens, the people from Tibet that are going in making tunnels. And the Kraken that was taking out the whaling ships was interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see. I also wrote down Crowley trying to escape Armageddon. So he really didn't... I don't know, maybe his plan wasn't actually to use the holy water on himself if it came to it. Maybe it was, if everything goes wrong, they're going to come after me. I need something to defend myself with. Yeah. Because he was looking to the stars. It's like, okay, I could go to the moon, I could go to Alpha Centauri and stuff like that. And so that's just interesting that, this whole big thing, the plan is coming together, Armageddon, it's all going to happen, all life will be destroyed and heaven will win. Just on Earth, though. It does not account for the rest of the universe, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, he could escape to any number of planets and potentially be fine. Now, how would he get there would be my next question. Because he even said, it's like, Alpha Centauri's nice this time of year. He even, joked around saying, like, I think I created some of those nebulas. So, yeah, how would he get out there would be my question.
Riding through the little telephone tube, or maybe hitching a ride with the peaceful aliens. Yeah, that may just be a little loose end, because it seems to me, obviously, he's going to try to stay and continue to try to stop the end of the world, but we don't know for sure. We'll have to wait until the next episode.
Right, because even he, at the end there, when he, the last time we saw him was with Aziraphale, and he was saying, like, I'm sorry about everything, please, we can still escape together. So it's still potential that, because, they can do a lot of things with their power, so maybe he could build some sort of ship or something to escape the Earth.
Yeah.
We got the final two horsemen, the first one being Pollution, who got a crown. Now, it's interesting, 3 of the horsemen got an item. War got the Roman gladius, Famine got the measuring scale, and now Death has Pollution has a crown. Now, War makes sense, that's her weapon. Famine with the scales, maybe I don't quite understand, and then the crown, it's like, okay, why the scales, why the crown specifically? Why would that be there?
That may actually be a reference to Revelation. Again, it's been many, many years since I've done any reading in the book, so we would have to go back and check that. But knowing Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman, I'm sure it has some actual biblical connection.
And then Death doesn't even need an item. And it's interesting that of the 4 of them, it looks the most like, this is just Death. This is the Reaper, just without a scythe. Actually, that would have been interesting if they delivered a scythe. But it was just the message of come and see, I think, was the message. So, yeah. And, it's interesting that the other 3 just look like normal people, and he's the one that looks incredibly different. So, we got a little bit of the plan for Armageddon of assembling in Israel and getting the boy there, but that's when they find out it's the wrong boy after all this time.
And he doesn't have a dog.
Right. Doesn't have a dog. And doesn't have any of his powers. So now they really don't know where the Antichrist is. But at the same time, Adam is about to start Armageddon just on his own because the power's sort of going to his head. But that's the thing, is he's not on any side other than his own. He's not on the side of heaven. He's not on the side of hell. He's not doing all this for the rest of the demons. He's doing all this so he can create his own world, where it's pretty much at this point just him and his friends, although they did protest at every point, and he was making them move, he took away their mouths and stuff like that, but he never influenced them, which was interesting. I don't know if that's supposed to be that he just cannot take away a person's free will. Maybe.
Interesting thought, yeah.
Yeah, because they kept protesting the entire time. But yeah, it's interesting that now, with all that he's seen, it's like, okay, I have all this power. All this stuff is happening. I'm creating this new world that I've been, influenced by with anathema. But it's still an Armageddon. He's still going along with the plan of, raising all the nuclear warheads and destroying the Earth. But it's not going the way hell wants, it'd be interesting to see the forces of heaven realizing that it's not going right.
Yeah.
Because if this is all happening and he's doing all of this not for hell but the way he wants to, I figured that would throw a wrench into their plans, and they would start to think, maybe we can't win this. I know it's the big thing, we're supposed to win this, but everything is going the same, but it's not going the same because it's by Adam, who they didn't know was the Antichrist, and that he's doing it all just for himself, really.
It seems to me that the Michael character seems to be the lead into that. Whereas Gabriel says, no, it's all going exactly the way we expect it, and then she's the one who says, I think something's gone off the rails here, and perhaps we could check this out.
And that's why she was investigating Aziraphale and claiming that he is a fallen angel, technically. Which it is interesting that of all the angels, honestly, Aziraphale is kind of the most angel-like because, like I say, he's like a goody two-shoes guy. And whereas none of the others are like that, even the one guy, just hit him right in the gut, which is not, you would think that's not very angel-like. Of course, you would think this entire war would not be angel-like, but...
Well, hearkening back to the Noah and the flood story, if I recall correctly, there is a whether it's a popular belief or whether it's actually in the ancient writings, I'm not sure, but God said that He would never destroy the earth again by water and put the rainbow in the sky to promise that,
right? Which
essentially meant not that I'm not going to destroy the world again, but that I'm not going to destroy the world by water. And so the common belief is the next time the world will be destroyed by fire, which, of course, an all-out thermonuclear war would cause that.
Right.
So, again, kind of sketchy, tenuous connection there. But, again, I'm waiting to see where this goes because there are so many ways it can go at this point. Again, you have... here is what has been written, here's what we're supposed to do, and yet, is that the right thing to do? Just because you can do it doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. And again, Aziraphale is basically saying, but, we've created the earth, we've created all these people, we've allowed them to do this, why not let them sort it out rather than us imposing our will? Because if we impose our will on them, that's not free will, as you've been talking about.
Right.
So
And they kind of... And it's also interesting because they said, last episode, when Aziraphale and Crowley were talking at the Ark, and Aziraphale was like, well, after this, the Almighty will put up a rainbow as a sign that He'll never destroy the earth again with a flood. And Crowley's just like, well, that's nice. Say that after the fact. You're still destroying... Even if it's just the locals, you're still destroying the world. So it's like, well, why? Why? You could also go to, it's like, okay, they're imposing their will. They're bringing in Armageddon to sort everything out and defeat evil. But then why did you give the humans the free will in the first place? Yeah. It is sort of that argument. It's like, well, if you were going to just in one fell swoop make everything perfect, destroy all evil, why didn't you just do that from the first place? Why has it taken 6,000 years for this to happen? Of course, part of that is also on Hell's side for delivering the Antichrist, because that is the catalyst of the Armageddon. So why, all of a sudden now they're ready to go do this? So it is kind of on both sides, heaven is ready. We're going to go and destroy the earth and make everything perfect after all this time of just letting it be. And hell is trying to do its own thing, possibly knowing that it won't work, or at least that's what Revelation says. It won't work, but they're doing it anyway, and only now, like, Aziraphale and Crowley have been on Earth for thousands of years, and yet only now are they trying to do Armageddon.
Yeah. So, and again, my memory is sketchy on this, but if I recall, the Antichrist in Revelation is actually supposed to be an adult man, not an 11-year-old boy. I mean, that's. Yeah. But there's a very specific set of circumstances. There's supposed to be, war, famine, pestilence, and death. He will rise from the ranks of the military. He will become the people that everyone will think is leading them to peace, when, of course, he's in fact leading them to Armageddon. So we're way off the beaten path there.
Right.
But, again, as far as sticking to the mechanics of this particular plot line, you can see where they're going, or at least you think you see where they're going. So, again, I'm just looking forward to the next 2 episodes to see how they're going to tie this all up.
It makes me wonder, will there be a season 2? Because this is a very contained story. It's like, where do you go after Armageddon?
Yeah, it's like Titanic the sequel.
Yeah, so I don't know. They could. It's entirely possible, I guess, but I don't know. I don't know how you top this.
Well,
I mean,
yeah. Here's the thing, though. If you prevent Armageddon in the first sequel, then obviously anything that would come after. And I don't think that Pratchett and Gaiman wrote a second book. But the idea being is that if you fail to do it the first time, then you obviously have to come up with a new plan. But again, I suspect there won't be a sequel. Yeah. I suspect this is a self-contained storyline.
Right.
In fact, I would almost not want to see a sequel, because I don't see how it could be as brilliantly thought out and written as this one.
Because at that point, you would have to try to bring in a new villain, because technically, I mean, I suppose there's no clear defined villain, but it's the overall conflict of Armageddon that's happening. We have hell, they're doing their own thing, heaven's doing its own thing, Adam is now doing his own thing. So maybe if you brought in... the only thing you could do is just bringing in Satan himself.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the thing I wonder. It's like, if the Antichrist was just supposed to show up, get his powers at the age of 11, go in, and Armageddon starts, why didn't the devil just go in himself? If there's no... Because like you said, it's supposed to be a grown-up man. He starts to lead the people, but he's leading them towards Armageddon and stuff like that. But none of that is the case, so why even go with the boy?
I can see kind of a comic take if they had Aziraphale and Crowley essentially do the Divine Comedy, the Inferno. This is a trip through hell, which would be, I've always thought that there should be some kind of modern adaptation of Inferno, because it's just there are so many possibilities for humor in that. And I know people are going, Dante's Inferno humorous. Yeah, you got to have a twisted mind like we do.
Yeah. All right, so we had all that. So we did see it was actually holy water that Aziraphale gave Crowley, because we were talking last episode. Did he actually do that? Because he kept saying, this is such a big risk, it's so dangerous to you, that it's like, okay, well, maybe he just gave him a thermos of water just to get him off of, just to have him stop trying to get holy water. But it was actually holy water, and instead of using it on himself, he used it on the guys by putting it in a bucket and putting it on a door, which was clever. And then he didn't put it in the squirt bottle, unfortunately. Which is almost, if he did do that, that would almost be like, there was an episode of Doctor Who where he just got just a squirt gun with just water in it, and there were these like stone people, and he just used it to spray them, and it just hurt them, and that was that.
Yeah.
And he went in there and he was threatening them, and then they realized, oh, it's completely harmless, and he was like, well, it's still got a sting, and he shot them. So that was interesting. And then we kind of had, it was kind of not really a fight between Crowley and Haster. It was more just a sort of waiting it out, just trying to stall him long enough for Crowley to get out of there through his phone. Yeah. Which was interesting that he escaped through a phone, and that demons can do this, can change themselves so much, which makes sense. At the beginning, we saw him go from being a serpent to being who he is now.
One minor thing there. If I recall correctly, the book of Good Omens was written in the early 90s. They wouldn't have had cell phones. So, somehow he would still get into a phone system and trap the demon on tape on the answering machine.
Right.
But, that's something that doesn't translate well time period-wise, because in the early 90s, they were still using bricks and flip phones and things like that.
Well, because that's the thing, is now that I realize it, when he went into his cell phone and it started to fall and it froze on there because we needed the narration, it did say he was calling himself. So that's how he specifically got the two of them through to his phone and trapped Haster in the tape. Was because he called himself. So maybe it could still work even if he has another landline, but can you call yourself on a landline? That's
I do not know.
Maybe he just had a brick phone. Yeah. It could be.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Yeah.
Wow, that is like the worst pun of all time.
Yeah. And then we had Aziraphale is now accidentally being taken up to heaven. So is he stuck there? I mean, he's gone up before using... Because they've both gone to heaven and hell, and they both sort of use an escalator system. So I would assume he could get back down, but the way that they did that, he might actually be stuck there now. So maybe that's it, is that the next episode he's trying to get back to the Earth to try to save it.
Yeah.
And now Crowley is pretty much by himself on Earth. So
and I swear at the very end there, when that candle rolled over, what it caught fire was sheet music to the Sound of Music. That would have been the perfect little Easter egg to end that with.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much that. You got anything else?
No. Again, I can't wait to see the last 2 episodes.
Final 2. All right. Well, it's going to be a little bit because of how we're recording this, but we'll get around to it. So yeah, that is pretty much that. With all that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of our Good Omens reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later.